Hi, I'm Emily Daño Salvaggio.
And I'm Kirby Wyckoff.
We're here today at the beautiful Covered Farm in Nottingham, Pennsylvania, thanks to the generosity of Priscilla Godso and her family, to show you how to ride the flat portion of the show jumping test for the 2021 Retired Racehorse Project's Thoroughbred Mega Makeover.
It's Kirby Wyckoff again here. I am on a horse named Shady Cat. He is an 11-year-old off-the-track thoroughbred. He is primarily my fox hunting horse. His breeding is, he's out of a jump start mare by the Wildcat. And yeah, we've been primarily fox hunting, doing some jumping, but a lot of stuff out in the country.
And this is Battle at Sea. This is one of Kirby's horses. And he is a 7-year-old by Into Mischief out of a Capote mare. He made $129,000 in 12 starts, won some stake races. And I've been sitting on him for 30 minutes. And that's as much as I know about him. So we're trying to show you the spectrum of what is generally a worst case scenario and what would be a best case scenario in terms of, like, she knows her horse, I don't know the horse, but you can get through this pattern and find ways to improve it. And we're going to talk to you now about what we thought about our first attempt doing the pattern, and we'll let Kirby go first.
And I'll both say they are 3 Diamond Farms graduates, so really excited to be partnering and supporting the aftercare movement in thoroughbred racing. So Shady and I primarily fox hunt. He's pretty out of shape right now. We've done some hound walking this season. We do not do a lot of ring or sophisticated flat work. Again, we mostly go out country and jump. So I thought this went okay. I think that what I'm reminded of is transitions are tough, especially when you're used to really opening up a stride and going places. So for me, the things I'd be thinking about working on are, how do I need to set my horse up successfully to come back to me after I've lengthened his stride, or prepare for a simple change or a flying lead change. So I think that the toughest part for him was right around here, because a lot of what we do is go forward, get through the country, and jump over fences. So yeah, I think that's what I would say about where we're at right now with that.
Kind of the same story, but a different chapter on this horse is that, you know, obviously having sat on for 30 minutes and he's had 90
He's had between 60 and 90 days of professional training. Besides that, he was turned out for 2 years, so he's pretty green bro.
Pretty green.
Yeah, yeah.
So he knows cues, he knows lateral work. He doesn't know me, I don't know him, so asking for upward transitions is a little not quite there. Forward transitions easy, coming back was easier. Getting our spatial orientation of where we are and where to best make changes was where I think I came apart, was like, oh look, it's time to do a new thing.
And
well, I just got him going well.
I just got to the other part, yeah.
So, and definitely the last halt took, 30 yards, 40 yards to kind of convince him of, because he was really looking at that fence going, you know, I think I can be a jumper. And I'm like, you might be, but not today.
Not today.
So for my next run through, I think the biggest thing I'll be doing is trying to better get my, just like Kirby said, honestly, is just get the transitions more in line with, here's the cue, let's try and have it happen right after the cue or within, a country mile of the cue.
Yeah.
So,
and can I just add that I think a lot of this for me is about the recovery after. So stuff's gonna happen, right? Like, my middle part here was a little funky. It's, can I get him back? Can I myself mentally take a deep breath, tell my horse, we're gonna be okay, take a deep breath, and let's finish this in a way that's productive and not have it all fall apart. I think that's a big part of it. All right, so we're back. That was our second time doing it, and I think there were some things that got better, some nice improvements there, still some stuff to work on. One of the things that I was reminded of is how important it is to think about not just the canter, right? So our trot in is a really nice part of what we do, and I think using that and showing that off, and then not forgetting it at the end, which I did, whoops, is really important, because that is something that we're pretty good at it. So let's use that to highlight our strengths. The other thing that I really like that got better there was our canter departure here. I felt like I had him under me a little bit better. We had talked about maybe getting a working walk coming out of here so that he was gathered and ready to kind of push off his hind end into that right lead. And then I also really liked his lengthening around the corner. He was very responsive. You know, still coming in here to bring him back, I had to work at it a little bit. I think it was better than it was the first time. You know, we kind of had a few trot steps, and then I wanted to make sure I set him up correctly for this left lead. Came around here, I like the lengthening here too. We actually made it harder by going from a canter to a walk and halt, but I did forget to show that trot part, which is something he's good at, I should highlight, and then just I forgot it, right? So I'll fix that next time. And yeah, I also, one of the things I really love about this horse, and I think I need to highlight too, is he can walk off on a really loose rein. Like, he does not feel like he has to run away with me. So I will highlight that because they want to see that he can come back and then in a really relaxed way walk off. So lots of nice things that got better, a few things that we could still work on, but I'm pleased with that as a next.
With my round, and again, green horse, never ridden him before, I definitely thought we did a better halt. I had a better path coming out of my halt to know where to pick up canter. We're still learning how to get that canter depart together, and kind of by virtue of the learning and trying to do the task, we get to canter depart right into lengthening. But this time I thought we had a distinct difference from our first lengthening back to a working, and I thought I had a good transition to trot, and I thought I was set up well for the left lead canter, but no. So, you know, you're gonna get the wrong lead sometimes. That's life.
Yeah.
So you just, you know, do what you can. We kind of muddled through. He tried to change in front, and I said, no, just pull back to trot, just get it right. He got it right. Just like before, we kind of did canter, transition, lengthening, all rolled into one. But our final line, though his head wasn't exactly where I wanted, but he doesn't know me, he doesn't know transition cues. We got a better transition to trot. We got a better, like, this is trot, and we got a better halt, stay with the halt, and then rein back separate from the halt. So you're not going, ah! Yeah, I really do think for scoring purposes, you really can get some points back if you take that halt seriously and do not combine it with the rein back. Just make it, boom,
Stop.
We're stopped.
Yep.
2, 3, now we're backing up. But we're gonna try it again and give you some other shots and, you know, see if we can improve it just a little bit more.
All right, so that was our third and last round, and I think there are some things that got a lot better there.
Definitely.
I really liked focusing on our good working trot coming into that here to the start. Our halt was nice. I felt like he was solid on all fours. He sort of brought himself together and stood really quietly for me. I was able to walk off and get a good working walk, which we had talked about the last time, to set us up for the correct lead and departure. And I was able to kind of gather his hind end and then get a nice lift into that. That also felt really good. I love his lengthening still through here. This is something that he's good at. I enjoy, he enjoys. And actually coming back together felt a bit more organized. Was it a perfect simple change? No, but I felt like he came back. We were able to kind of get together with a few trot strides in between, set him up then for that left lead. Now he did fix he fixed the left lead for me completely over here, which is fine, but I did also then get a nice lengthening, you know, almost a little bit of a hand gallop. It's get out of the tack and go, and then sit back, come together for a working canter, and then Kirby, don't forget your trot, which I didn't forget this time.
Yay!
And yay! And was able to show a nice few trot strides. Really liked his halt again. I was very intentional to do what you had suggested, which was wait in the halt and let him just stand on the forward, take a deep breath myself, then ask him to come back. And actually my rein back was much better because he was able to lift his core and kind of come back and then walk off on a loose rein. So all in all, I think, you know, for 3 rounds in an hour or so, on a hot day, you know, I'm really proud with the progress we made there. Yeah.
Totally. I agree with Kirby that was her best round. I don't know if you see it on the final edit, but I was applauding and trying to do my best standing in the middle. It's hard to always follow an act like that, more so when you've only been riding the horse an hour. But, you know, so I made some choices. We had a better trot coming into the first halt. I thought the first halt's been good all 3 times, but it stayed good, and that's with a baby horse and the brain that's getting tired on a hot day. It was nice that skill set stayed. I made the choice this time to try and get better transitions and not ask for the lengthening, but rather to just get the canter, because there's a point in time where you've just got to decide what the horse is capable of on the day. And what he felt like he was capable of on today was get a better transition.
Right.
Which made the canter from the right lead was nice, got the middle ground set up for the left lead. Didn't quite get it, but that's fine. And we fixed into it himself. He corrected, and we got a little more canter coming out of that turn. And then we just kind of have decided that we don't know how to halt or come back so much that the hot day kind of got to him in the last bit. But I'm super proud of him. He's a really nice horse, and I'm sure he's going to be something cool for Kirby and everybody that works with her, and all the connections that have had him since he was young. He's got a great brain, and in an hour of doing stuff he's never seen and tack he's never had, he did a great job. And I hope you guys have learned something from this. It really is possible in the last 3 weeks before the makeover to put some time in and really work on this. We're gonna give you a little afterthought in a minute, but first we're gonna take care of the horses, but we'll come back without the horses and give you our final thoughts.
Yep, great, sounds good, thanks. Yeah. So we're here, Em and I are here to just really talk briefly about how we thought today went, to do some reflections, talk about what we learned, what we think might be helpful if we were going to be taking either of those horses, and preparing them over the next 3 weeks for a test like that.
Yeah, agreed. And if we had a horse in the makeover coming into the last 3 weeks and we had to do that as the flat work, as the start of the test, knowing that we know how to do the rounds and jumping, but how to put our best hoof forward for that, it feels like a minute and a half of flat work.
Yeah.
And it comes by really fast.
Yep.
So you really have to kind of slow it down in your head game.
Yeah.
And do it in smaller pieces to put together a nicer picture, I think.
Yeah. And I think for me, what I would think about is chunking it in that way, right? Like the things that for us, I felt like were a strength, particularly that improved over the three times, were upward transitions. I felt like I could really get a nice open canter. I liked my canter departure from the walk. I think the trot went really well. What I would be working on over the next 3 weeks with Shady in particular is bringing him back to me, both from an open canter to a more working collected canter, and then even from a canter down into a transition to a trot, right? Like that downward transition for us would be the thing to work on. I spent a lot of time with that horse opening him up and asking him to really go forward and cover ground.
Right.
But for him, what we would need to work on is like, okay, but how do you come back to me, hold it together, and then take the next steps that we have to. So that's what I would be focusing on for him.
And I think it's important to realize with former racehorses that I think we overlook the fact that they already know how to go forward and fast, but to go forward in a balanced gait and carriage, so that you're controlling the lengthening and controlling the compressing, that's something that is hard to fudge.
Yeah.
And it's important to show the line at the beginning and the end of the lengthening in the canter, so that you see an obvious change. It doesn't have to be from barely a tiny canter to, oh, look, they're back at Keeneland.
Right.
Because then coming back to, oh, the tiny canter becomes a really big issue.
Right.
But I felt like, especially on Battle, who is closer to off the track than Shady is, that it's really easy to get up the gears. It's the coming down the gears where you have the challenges. And so I would, if it were me in the last 3 weeks, I think I would be working on transitions. I might even go so far as to put a rail in front of him where I want to start a transition to give him a marker, just like we had the ferns for us to mark where we were going to do our halts that would set us up the best path in the ring. It was really helpful to have a visual to work with. And I know that a lot of the trainers that are bringing these horses to the makeover are not, with a professional trainer every day. If you have, tricks and things that you do to make things better, one of them is visuals. And giving the horse and yourself a cue that, hey, we do this thing here. in a single rail.
Yeah.
Because you, obviously in the test, you have to do trot rails. So you should be doing trot rails on your own, but a
Right.
single rail you can teach to just, okay, we come down here, which also helps because it will also teach the horse to kind of steady into a fence.
Right.
Because they can make that correlation.
Right. Yeah, and get that adjustableness. I think one thing that I really liked from both the horses, despite their different ages and sort of where they're at in their experience level, is setting your horse up and yourself up to really just be able to problem solve and
Totally.
sort of relax as best you can. I know it's a stressful environment, but
Very.
if we can relax and regulate our own cortisol response and stress hormones, then we're able to better communicate to our horse, like, hey, it's okay, like, make a mistake's okay, right? The key is, like, what do we do with that afterwards? How do we stay in that think and learn zone where we can problem solve, where we can process, and we don't blow it mentally, right? For ourselves or the horses, right? Like, for Battle, who has literally, like, I've never put him in a trailer and taken him anywhere. You've never ridden him. I mean,
No.
we literally, like, trimmed his mane a little bit so he didn't look so wild.
There was
Mustang.
about 7 inches that came off
Right.
before that video.
Right, so he looked presentable. But, his ability to sort of just stick with you, and I think in part because you made it not a big deal if he made a mistake. You said, you talked to him a lot. You said, hey, buddy, we got this. It's okay. And he sort of got the idea of, like, oh yeah, okay, like, yeah, I don't really know what you want from me right now, but I can try that, or I can problem solve, I can figure it out. And we don't have to make it this big explosion or this big sort of fight, overreaction in ourselves, or what then shows up in our horses. So I think that's something to be thinking about.
And going off the heels of that, there's also the moment, I know as I felt it when I was in the makeover, you have the opposite when everything's going right. And then that little part of your brain's like, oh my God, what's going to go? Oh my God, it's all going well. Oh, now what?
Right.
Oh my God, we usually screw up by now. Or are we going to screw up? I don't want to screw up. Oh my God. And don't let yourself go off that deep end, because you can bring yourself your own problems. But like you said, if you can manage the regulation and find the way through, that everything's going to be okay, that this just isn't that big of a thing.
Yeah.
It's a big thing. And we all know that. There's too much work that's gone into it to pretend it's not. But to regulate your expectations down to a couple strides at a time, and everything that's happened is done.
Yeah.
So there's no sense worrying about it. And everything that's coming is going to come anyway.
Right.
So better to work within yourself and the horse and not get the horse going or upset or out of sync, because either, like you said, it's going a little off, or like I'm saying, it's going well.
Right.
Because I've seen it go both ways. And, basically what I think both Kirby and I are saying to you guys is that you're in control of your own destiny. We have tips and tricks to give you. Definitely give yourself the time on the halts. Give yourself the 3 seconds. Just get it as a nice halt, wait, 2, 3, and then rein back. And it's a very nice presentation. And if the judges don't like it, you can blame me, and I'm the steward. So
that helps.
what can I do? You have the ability to teach them and practice the downward transitions for the next 3 weeks in every ride.
Yeah.
And I would say, and Kirby and I talked about this before, what you don't want to do is practice this pattern verbatim in full every day, every time.
Right.
You want to break it up. You want to be able to do the simple change or the flying change in your regular work. You want to be able to do the walk to canter in your regular work. You want to be able to do the trot to halt and then carry it to halt to trot and then trot to halt again, as its own thing. You don't teach them something they'll memorize, because then when you start walking after that halt and they know the canter's coming, then the butt goes sideways.
Right. They'll start to anticipate.
And so, it's definitely a lot of fun to watch all of you guys doing this. And this was our attempt at trying to help in the last little bit of time to know some secrets. Definitely, leg yield into your canter so that you're on the proper outside bend and they step right off. If you need an example of what not leg yielding into your canter and not getting the right canter, watch me on Battle. Because we have some lateral understanding, but it's a little all over the place.
Yep.
But yeah, we just hope this was helpful for you guys. I can't wait to see you all at the makeover. I'm trying to talk Kirby into coming down. But, definitely from all of us to all of you, we wish you the best of luck. Hope this helps. And remember that this is the first step on a
Yes.
very long journey with your
Yes,
horse.
yes.
You don't have to win this weekend to have a valuable relationship with your horse.
Yeah, and gosh, have fun, right?
Yeah,
Enjoy
definitely
the
have
moment, have fun, and yeah, thanks, Em, for doing this. This was
Hey,
fun.
no, thanks, Kirby,
Yeah.
for coming and providing horses. That
Yeah,
was great.
absolutely. Happy to help.
So, but
All right.
thank you. Good luck,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone. Good luck. Have fun in Kentucky.